I became obsessed with learning Morse code from old war movies. It ended up saving 40 people's lives. Everyone thought I was stuck in the past. My name is Adrian, and for the last 9 years, I'd been completely obsessed with Morse code. Not in a casual way where you learn SOS and call it done, but in an all-consuming manner where I could tap out entire conversations at 30 words per minute and recognize patterns in my sleep. It started when I was 24, watching Das Boot for the third time in my tiny apartment in Seattle. There was something about those tense submarine scenes where the radio operator would tap out messages in the darkness, the crew's lives depending on those precise rhythms. My girlfriend Laura left me over it 3 years ago, saying I cared more about dead communication methods than our actual relationship. She wasn't completely wrong. My parents stopped asking about my hobby after the first year, their disappointment obvious whenever they visited. My younger brother Kyle, who worked in tech and made 3 times my salary, would make jokes about me preparing for some apocalypse scenario where all modern technology failed. I worked as a night security guard at a maritime museum, which gave me plenty of quiet hours to practice. My coworkers thought it was harmless, if weird. Nobody understood why I cared so much about something that had been obsolete for decades. The invitation came in March from my college roommate Derek, who I hadn't seen in 5 years. He was getting married in the Bahamas and wanted his old friends there for a destination wedding. The resort was on a small private island, all-inclusive and expensive. I almost didn't go, but Kyle convinced me I needed to get out and socialize instead of spending another weekend with my telegraph keys. So I booked the flight and packed my bag, deliberately leaving all my Morse code materials at home, except for a small practice key I'd slipped into my luggage at the last minute, unable to fully disconnect from my obsession, even on vacation. The wedding weekend started on a Thursday with a welcome party where I reconnected with old college friends who'd all moved on to successful careers and families. I felt like the oddball who didn't quite fit the expected trajectory. Everyone was friendly enough, but I could feel the invisible barrier between their lives and mine, the unspoken assessment that I was the wedding guest who hadn't lived up to his potential. Saturday was the wedding day, ceremony at sunset on the beach. The ceremony was beautiful, and around 10 p.m., Vanessa's parents announced they'd arranged a special surprise for Sunday, a chartered yacht excursion for all the wedding guests to a nearby uninhabited island for a beach party and snorkeling. Sunday morning arrived with clear skies and calm seas. The yacht was impressive, a 120-foot vessel with multiple decks, a full crew, and capacity for about 80 passengers. All 40 wedding guests boarded along with the crew of 8. The yacht departed at 10 a.m., and the captain announced the uninhabited island was about 2 hours away. An hour into the journey, I noticed the captain and first mate having an intense conversation near the bridge, their body language suggesting something was wrong. The yacht's speed had decreased noticeably, and I could hear the engines making an unusual sound, a grinding noise that didn't seem normal. The captain made an announcement asking everyone to remain calm, but informing us they were experiencing engine trouble. The party atmosphere dimmed slightly, but nobody seemed particularly worried. The captain and engineer disappeared into the engine room. The engineer emerged looking stressed, telling the captain that both main engines had overheated and shut down. The yacht was now drifting, backup generators running to maintain electrical power. The captain tried the radio to contact the resort and report their situation, but nothing happened when he pressed the transmit button. The first mate examined the equipment and discovered water damage in the radio compartment. The salt water had corroded critical components. The captain's face went pale as he realized they had no way to communicate their position or situation to anyone on shore. They had life jackets and emergency supplies, but without engines or radio, they were drifting in the Caribbean with 48 people on board and no way to call for help. The crew tried not to alarm the guests, but word spread quickly that they were stranded. Some people stayed calm, others started panicking. Cell phones had no signal this far from shore, and the yacht's satellite phone required a subscription service that apparently had lapsed months ago. The captain gathered everyone and explained honestly they were working on the engines but needed parts they didn't have. The radio was destroyed. They had food and water for maybe 3 days, and their best hope was that the resort would notice they hadn't returned and send search parties. I went back to my cabin and retrieved my practice telegraph key from my luggage. The yacht had electrical power from backup generators, and if I could find a way to connect a signal light to a power source and use Morse code to send distress signals, there was a chance someone might see it. I brought the telegraph key to the bridge and tried to explain my idea to the captain. I insisted we had to try something. That Morse code was still an internationally recognized distress signal, and if we could rig a bright enough light, passing ships or aircraft might spot it. The captain finally agreed to let me try, but what happened next did I never expected. The rest of the story is linked below or on my channel.